we're going to begin the testimony in cause number 55657. Let me see if nobody else is in the waiting room. Miss Baker and Miss Gardner. Let me see where Miss Baker is. I think she's gone. Miss Gardner, please raise your right hand. You need to unmute yourself too. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? Okay, unmute yourself, please. Okay, Mr. Sturmer, call your first witness, please.
I'd like to call Melina Gardner.
Okay. Miss Gardner, say your name so we make sure we can hear you, okay? Miss Gardner, we didn't hear you. Anybody hear? Did y'all hear her? No. The rules say everybody's supposed to make sure their equipment is working before we begin court.
Judge, while she's working on that, I can go ahead and call Hector Burgos and save her testimony for later.
Okay. Miss Gardner, say something real quick before I would move on to another witness. Anybody here? I don't. No? Okay. Stay there, Miss Gardner. Work on your equipment. Mr. Burgess, you're here. I saw you. Or there you are. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Sturmer. Again.
Mr. Burgos, can you state your full name, please?
Hector Iván Burgos Ortega.
And you're the caseworker for the department, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been the caseworker on this case?
Since April 2024.
And have you had an opportunity to review the department's file and the prior history in this case?
Yes, sir.
Okay. First of all, is it correct that this is the third time that Frank Browning and Stephanie Polk have had a child or children removed from their care?
I believe the first time they had an open case, I'm not sure if they were removed. I mean, if Brad was removed, but I know for sure this is the second time they were removed from the house.
You know for sure what now?
That this is the second time they were removed from the house.
Okay. Do you have your file in front of you?
No, I don't have that information.
So you don't recall when the first removal occurred?
I'm sorry?
Do you recall when the first removal occurred with this family?
So I know the first case was in 2017, and then the second one in 2022.
Just answer the question I'm asking. Brack was removed from their care in 2017. Is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Do you know what the basis for that removal was?
Medical neglect.
Okay. Were there any drug issues in that case?
Not that I recall, no.
Okay. Did the parents work their service plan in that case?
Yes.
And what was the ultimate result of that case?
Went back home.
Ms. Sturmer said they went back home. Brack went back home.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Mr. Burgos, I'm looking at the department's affidavit right now. Do you recall in that affidavit where it states that Ms. Polk tested positive for methamphetamines while she was pregnant?
I do recall that, yeah.
Okay. So this case wasn't just about medical neglect. It was about drug use as well in 2017. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So ultimately the parents worked services and they got their child back in that case. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So do you recall when the second removal occurred?
2022.
Okay. And in that removal, it was involving all three children that are the subjects of this case. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And what was the reason for that removal?
I know Sean and John, they tested positive for methamphetamines.
Okay. Was there another concern for domestic violence in that case?
Yes.
Okay. In that case, again, did the parents work their service plan?
Yes, they did.
And ultimately, the children were returned back to their care. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. Then fast forward to April 2024, And that's when the department initiated this current case. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And what was the reason for this removal?
The reason it was there was an intake for physical neglect, and I know in the affidavit they stated that there was a dry shooting in the house, and then Sean and John Browning tested positive for methamphetamines once again.
Okay. And did the parents also test positive?
Yes, they did.
Okay. Ultimately, the court granted the removal, and then we filed our motion for aggravated circumstances. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that was based on the children testing positive for methamphetamines?
Yes.
And then we had a hearing in June, and at that hearing, the court granted our motion for aggravated circumstances. Is that correct?
Yes.
But despite the court granting our motion, the court still ordered the department to provide a service plan for the parents. Is that correct?
Yes.
As to the mother, is she currently working her service plan?
Yes, she is.
Okay. Does she, I just want to go through the services a little bit. Does she attend therapy and protective parenting?
She did, yes.
At this point in time, has the department received any recommendation from her therapist regarding the children being returned back to her care?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Did she complete a psychological evaluation?
She did complete the psychological evaluation.
Were there any concerns noted in that psychological evaluation?
Yeah, so I know the recommendation for Dr. DeHane. This was conducted on 5/23/2024, and he stated that Stephanie failed to demonstrate basic skill necessary to provide proper parental care for her children, and given her serious mental health disorders, chronic drug abuse, inability to take care of medical problems and domestic problems, it is questionable that Stephanie is able to care for her children, let alone take care for herself. And he also did say, I could not at this time nor in the future foresee this parent becoming competent or minimally adequate to parent a child.
Okay. Did she complete a psychiatric evaluation?
She did.
Okay. Were there any concerns in that evaluation?
No, he just recommended random drug testing and do outpatient and individual therapy.
Okay. So then moving on to the drug testing, she did test positive for methamphetamines at the beginning of this case. Is that correct?
Yes, she did.
As well as amphetamines and marijuana?
Yes.
Okay. Did she have any other positive drug tests after the initial one?
Yes, she did.
Okay. What were those results?
When?
What was she positive for? I'm sorry.
She tested positive after the first hair follicle. She tested positive a few times for marijuana, and then recently it's just been for ETG, for alcohol.
Okay. Let's just back up a little bit. I believe at some point in May, she also completed an OSAR evaluation. Is that correct?
Yes, she did.
What were the recommendations in that OSAR evaluation?
For her, it was outpatient rehab.
Okay. Did she attend outpatient rehab?
She did.
Okay. Did she also attend inpatient rehab?
She also did, yes.
Okay. Do you know the approximate dates that she was in inpatient?
I know she completed inpatient rehab on 7/24/2024, and outpatient rehab, she completed it on 9/12/2024.
Okay. Regarding the inpatient treatment, did she receive a certificate of completion?
Yes.
And did she provide that to you?
Yes, she did.
Okay. So since she was in inpatient, has she had any positive drug tests?
For alcohol, yes.
Okay. When did the department begin testing?
Objection, misstating facts. Alcohol is not a drug.
I can ask a different question.
Okay.
Okay. Just answer this question. Did she test positive on any drug tests after she went to rehab?
No.
Okay. When did the department begin testing her for alcohol?
I would say it was since October, if I'm not mistaken.
Sometime this fall, or last fall, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And how many positive alcohol tests did she have?
1, 2, 3, 4. Since October 31st, I got 4. And then we have one invalid one. And then there's other that we're still waiting for the results. So.
Okay. Did you discuss with her the court's policy of not consuming alcohol during the pendency of a CPS case?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And being that this is not her first go around with this court or with CPS in general, do you believe that's something that she should have already known?
Yes.
Okay. Judge, I'd like to offer the most alcohol tests as Commissioners 1. I believe that's the affidavit for business records that has 18 pages in it.
Did you mark them? Because they came after my deadline, so I don't have them.
I didn't mark them. They were just in that email.
How? Excuse me, Miss Miguel.
Oh, I was going to wait. I was just going to object to the incompleteness for as I mentioned earlier, not all the records are there.
Okay. Well, hold on for just a second on that one. Ms. Sturmer, how will I identify them from your email so we can print them out accordingly?
And I can resend them after this hearing is.
No, I have them, but they came, Ms. Simpson, they're supposed to be like 72 hours before trial, and that doesn't include weekends. So Ms. Simpson print them out. When she prints them out, I think aren't there 2 business record affidavits for drug testing?
There's 3. And on the first page, it says how many pages are in those records.
So this is the 18-page one?
That's correct.
Okay. Ms. Miguel?
I'm requesting if we can note them by date, like time frame from this time frame to this time frame. Because like I said, I object to the extent that the ones that are after are not included.
How are they? Go on. Go on, Ms.
I just make sure that all of the dates are included in there for the time frame that he requested per his subpoena or business records affidavit.
Is there a gap in time, Mr. Sturmer, or is it like a chronological?
These records are just from October. That's the only business records that I have for her drug testing, or for her alcohol testing, I'm sorry. Okay,
so you're saying petitioner's exhibit number 1 is 18 pages, alcohol testing from October of 2024, correct?
Yes, and there was also a couple drug tests in there too, which she's negative on, just to note.
Also for October of 24?
Yes.
Okay. I think
the testings though started earlier in the summer, like August, September timeframe. So that's why I think there may be some missing that are prior, and then also the November, December ones are missing.
Ms. Sturmer, are those under a different business record affidavit?
Yes.
Okay.
We don't have them.
Okay, well, you said there's 2 more business record affidavits.
That's for Mr. Browning.
Mr. Browning, okay. So all you have for mom is the alcohol from 20 and some negative drug tests from October of 2024, correct?
That's correct.
Petitioner's number 1. Okay. Anybody want to say anything about that? Other than what Ms. San Miguel just said?
I have no objection.
Okay, petitioner's 1's admitted.
Mr. Burgos, the court also ordered the mother to pay child support in the amount of $300 a month beginning, I believe, May 15th of 2024. Do you know if she's provided that support?
I know she paid just for 2 months.
She paid for 2 months.
Yeah, since the case has been open, she has paid child support twice. That's what I meant.
Okay. So do you know how much she has paid?
Yeah, I have it right here. $150.
Is that total?
Yes.
Okay. So at this point, she's behind well over $1,000 at this point. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is she working currently?
No.
Do you have any idea why she's not employed?
She said she was looking for a job, but that's all I know.
Okay. So at this point, despite the mother working some of her services, would you say at this time that she's successfully completed her service plan?
No.
Do you believe that she's been rehabilitated and is ready and able to resume caring for her children?
No.
Do you believe that the children would be in a danger if they were returned to her care?
Yes.
Okay. Moving over to the father, Frank Browning. He's currently in Corio County Jail. Is that correct?
Yes.
How long has he been in the county jail?
Since October 20th.
Of 2024?
Yes.
Do you know what charges he's being held on?
He was for the charges of, I know he was arrested for failing to appear in court while being in patient rehab, and charges were.
Well, have you reviewed the Corio County jail roster?
Then I found the charger is manufacturer or delivery of controlled substance charges.
So is this a current charge or was this a previous charge that he was on probation for?
It was whenever the CPS case started. I guess he has some also criminal charge going on at the same time.
Okay. So you don't know if his arrest was due to a new charge or a probation revocation or parole revocation?
No, I'm not sure. No.
Okay. Prior to going to jail, did he work some services?
Yeah.
Okay. He attended therapy and protective parenting. Is that correct?
Yes.
At this time, is his therapist recommending that the child be returned to his care?
His therapist, no.
Okay. Has he completed a psychological and psychiatric evaluation?
Yes, he did.
Were there any concerns noted on those evaluations?
For the psychological, Dr. DeHaim stated that Frank continued to show inability to learn from his past mistake and previous treatment. His parenting abilities are indicated as poor as he lacks insight into his problem. Frank does not demonstrate the skills necessary to provide proper parental care to his children at this time due to
I'm sorry. Can you slow down for me when you're reading?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure. His parenting abilities are indicated as poor as he lacks insight into his problems. Frank does not demonstrate the skills necessary to provide proper parental care to his children at this time, due to his not dealing with his anger, drug abuse, and the problem with marriage relationship. He also stated that given his serious drug abuse problem and poor life skills, it is questionable whether Frank is able to care for his children, let alone take care of himself. He also stated that he could not at this time, nor in the future, foresee this parent becoming competent or minimally adequate to parent a child.
Okay. As to drug testing, he also tested positive for methamphetamines and amphetamines and marijuana at the beginning of the case. Is that correct?
Yes.
Has he had any additional positive drug tests?
Yes, he had the last positive that he had for methamphetamines was on 10/17.
Okay. He went to inpatient rehab, I believe, in September as well. Is that correct?
Inpatient rehab, yeah, he completed inpatient rehab on 10/7/2024.
So you're saying that he had a positive methamphetamine test after he went to rehab?
Yes.
Okay. Judge, at this time, I'd like to offer the business records affidavits for Mr. Browning's drug test. It's the business records with 11 pages and then the 15 pages.
Any objection?
No objection.
Okay, petitioners 2 and 3 are admitted.
So both parents in this case, even after going to rehab, they've continued to test positive. I understand mom is positive for alcohol and not drugs, but they're both testing positive against the court's standing order. Is that correct?
Yes.
The court also ordered Mr. Browning to pay the same amount of child support as the mother. Is that correct?
Yes.
And to date, has he paid any child support?
The $150, it was just between them, like they paid it together.
Okay, so both of them were each individually ordered to pay $300 a month, and you're saying that they've paid a total combined $150?
Yes.
Okay. Prior to going to rehab, or prior to going to jail, was he working?
No.
Okay. So again, like the mother, despite father working some services, would you say at this time that he's successfully completed his service plan?
No.
And do you believe that he has been rehabilitated and ready and able to resume caring for his children?
No.
Do you believe that the children would be in a danger if they return to him?
Yes.
So another big concern in this case was the home environment and the general sanitation of the home. Is that correct?
Yes.
There was an incident where the department went to the home and somebody got sick. Is that accurate?
Yes.
When did this happen?
That was back in April 18, 2024.
And when I say someone got sick, can you explain what the reported symptoms were?
So I visited the house with my coworker, and after leaving the house, she started feeling dizzy. She stated that she was feeling like her, and she wasn't feeling well overall.
Okay. Did that raise concerns that there was possibly that the home was possibly contaminated with drugs?
Yes.
And this was addressed in a court hearing thereafter, and the court ordered that the home be tested. Is that correct?
Yes.
To date, have you seen the results of the home being tested?
No.
Okay. However, the primary reason that we're involved in this case is that the children tested positive for methamphetamine while in the care of these parents. Is that correct?
Yes.
So if they're not able to show that the home is free of drugs, do you believe that they're capable of providing a safe environment for the children?
No.
In prior cases, has there been a concern for domestic violence?
Yes.
And another issue with this case is there was a drive-by shooting at the home. Is that correct?
Yes.
Does the department have a concern for these parents associating with dangerous people?
Yes.
Does the department have concerns that Mr. Browning and Ms. Polk themselves can become violent?
Yes.
Recently, there was a Facebook post that was made by the paternal grandfather, Brack Browning. Is that correct?
Yes.
Have you seen that post?
Yes.
Okay. I've sent this as a potential exhibit to use today, so I'm just going to read it to you. And you tell me if this is exactly how you saw this Facebook post. From Brack Browning, it says, "Sorry, folks, but this is the worst Christmas we ever had. The state took my only reasons, grandkids, to live, and even have my son locked up. The wife and I are just sick over this. It's killing us. I can feel it. Lost." Is that the Facebook post that you saw?
Yes.
And following that, a man named Bob Knight then comments on the post saying, quote, "Radio check-in.
Objection, hearsay.
Judge, this is a public Facebook post. I'm just reading the substance of it. I'm not trying to prove the truth of any matter asserted in that statement.
Is it provided to all the parties?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? Overruled. Keep going, Mr.
Okay, so Bob Knight then comments on the post saying, quote, "Radio check-in, reinforcements inbound, keep firing downrange, take no prisoners." Did you read that comment?
Yes, I did.
Okay, then following that comment, Stephanie Polk, the mother in this case, aka Stephanie Browning, comments, "Please take everyone responsible." Is that the comment that you saw?
Yes.
Okay, how did you, as the department's caseworker, perceive that comment?
As a possible threat.
So given the history of this family, with the drive-by shooting, the potential gang affiliation, the previous domestic violence, did that comment cause you fear?
Yes.
At this point, do you believe that Ms. Polk, despite engaging in some services, has absorbed any of the material that she's learned or that she's been provided?
No.
And if she had, do you think that she would have wrote something like that on a public forum?
No.
Where are the children currently placed?
They're playing in Kemner with a Kinship.
Okay.
Mr. G.
What's the kinship's relationship to the family? Are they actual family members or just family friends?
They are related to the how do you say? Through the church of the family.
Okay, so they're just family friends.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my screen just froze. Did you answer that?
Oh, yes, yes.
How are the kids doing in the home?
They're doing pretty well.
Have you seen progress with the children since being placed with the Jules?
Yes. At the beginning of the case, Bragg has IDD. He's been receiving services at school, speech therapy, occupational therapy. And now you're able to understand sentences that he says. They're young. He's now 3. He speak, and I've been able to see the progress of the 3 kids with the family and how they're bonding with each other and how happy they're in the house.
Are the children bonded with the caregivers?
I'm sorry?
Are the children bonded with the caregivers?
Oh, yes, they are.
Okay. Are they willing to be a long-term placement?
Yes.
Okay.
Hold on, Mr. Shermer. You cut out during that question. I didn't hear it.
Are they willing to be a long-term placement?
Yes.
Okay. Are they willing to adopt the children if necessary?
Yes, they're willing to adopt.
Okay. And so today the department's asking that the parental rights of Frank Browning and Stephanie Polk to these children be terminated. Is that correct?
Yes.
And is that based on the on them placing the children in a dangerous home environment that ultimately caused these children to test positive for methamphetamines?
Yes.
Is it also based on their failure to complete their service plan as ordered by the court?
Yes.
And despite the finding of aggravated circumstances, has the department at least attempted to work with these parents and to provide them the resources needed to become better parents and possibly have their children returned?
Yeah, we have done everything on our part. We have offered them, the services, individual visit, therapy, psychological, psychiatric, everything.
And being that this is not the first go around with this family, and this is the first time that these children have been positive, do you believe that it would be in the children's best interest for the parents' rights to be terminated so that this does not happen again?
Yes.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Miguel. Ms. Miguel.
Sir, yes, I just need a moment.
Okay.
Mr. Burgos, can you please describe the reason for aggravated circumstances?
Yes, the reason for aggravated circumstances was that the kid tested positive for methamphetamines, specifically Sean Browning and John Browning.
Now, there is a hearing in regards to this matter, correct?
Yes.
And throughout this case, was there any evidence provided that the parents provided the children with drugs?
No.
Was there any evidence provided that the children had open access to the drugs in the home?
No.
Okay. Was there any determination as to how the drugs were ingested or accumulated in their systems?
No.
Could any medical personnel note as to how this could have happened?
Can you repeat the question?
Did any medical personnel note as to how the positive drug test results could have occurred?
I believe so. I'm not sure.
Okay. Now, in this home, can you please describe the number of people living in the home at the time of removal?
At the time of removal?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4. You mean like including Ashley?
How many, let's just stick with the adults. How many other adults were living in the home at the time of removal?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay. And can you describe those other adults? Besides that, we've got the two parents.
The paternal grandparents, and then Ashley, which was the girlfriend or dad of Frank.
I didn't understand that. Say it again.
So it was the two grandparents, paternal grandparents, Frank, Ashley, Stephanie, and Ashley. Put on.
Okay.
Do you mean
Was there another individual?
Hold on, Miguel. He didn't finish. Ashley, did you say Ashley?
Yes, like when the case started, yes.
And who is she?
She was the girlfriend of Frank Browning.
Okay. Okay. I think that's what you said earlier. Okay, go on.
And was Ashley and her children living in a separate room at the time of removal?
Yes.
Okay. And how many children did she have?
3.
Okay. And was there also another individual that was crashing at their home or allowed to stay in the home?
Yes.
Okay. And did you have an opportunity to interview the other adults in the home? The grandparents, Ashley Hutton, and I believe it was David. I don't recall his last name. The other
The
person's name.
the caseworker for Ashley and the other person is Maddie. But I got a chance to talk to the grandparents whenever we went to the house.
Did any of those other, I guess there was 6 adults? Is that fair to say, not 5?
Yes.
Living in the home? Okay. So did any of the other 4 adults living in the home provide an explanation as to how the kids tested positive?
Not to my understanding, no.
Now, was there also an issue with cleanliness or bed bugs at the time?
Yes.
Okay. I noticed you didn't mention that. You had mentioned some domestic violence, but you didn't mention bed bugs. Why did you not mention the cleanliness of the home or bed bugs? Is it not that important?
It is important.
Okay. And at the is it possible that any of the other adults in the home could have been the source of the reason the children tested positive?
I'm not sure.
Was the home of Ashley or David investigated to see if there was any drug residue or paraphernalia that was found in their living quarters?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure that was done, or that you're aware of it?
I'm not sure about if it was done or resolved. That's a different case.
Okay. Well, the children were removed for similar reasons, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And the home was a big factor, correct, in both cases?
Yes.
Okay. And so wouldn't it also be important then to know if the other individuals that are living in the home and are now no longer living in the home were a reason to that the children were exposed?
Yeah.
Okay. So it wouldn't be clear then that either Stephanie Polk or Frank Browning were the sole source of the positive drug test with the children, correct?
I will say so, yes.
Okay, fair to say you have no way of knowing that these 2 individuals were the sole source.
No, I will.
6 adults.
I can say, they're the parents and they also tested positive, but yeah.
Okay. And then there's also even access through the other children that were in the home as well. Not blaming children, but if there's access or they got in, they gave gummies they got from school or something, that's also another possibility.
No, not sure.
Okay. Now, in regards to the domestic violence, were there any police reports filed indicating that there was domestic violence?
Let me see. I don't have this information at this time.
Okay, fair to say that there's no police reports filed regarding domestic violence?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I don't have that information at this time.
Okay, and in regards to any domestic violence in the prior case, I understand you're not the caseworker at that time, but you would have had the record to review, correct?
Yes.
So are you aware of any police reports or even phone call details from any prior cases?
No, I don't have that information at this time.
Do you have Frank Browning's criminal history?
We got access to it.
Okay, and part of your job is to access and review criminal history of the parents, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so then you could testify as to whether Frank Browning has any domestic violence convictions?
He does not have.
Okay, and what about Stephanie Polk? Does she have any domestic violence convictions?
Let's see, Stephanie. No, she doesn't have either.
Okay. Now, in regards to aggravated services, does that entitle you as a caseworker not to provide any services or to assist the parents in working any plan to have the children returned or placed with family?
You say if that has entitled me?
Yes.
No.
Okay. So from the beginning of this plan, did you advocate for a service plan and seek family reunification?
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So then when did it change that you no longer wanted to provide a service plan in return of the family reunification? When did the plan change?
We always wanted to provide a family reunification. The permanency goal change whenever we receive the drug test for the kids, the drug test results.
Okay, and then from that date forward, then you no longer wanted the children to return. Is that correct?
Can you repeat that?
From that date forward, from the date that you received the drug test results on the children, did you no longer want the children to return?
From that day forward, yeah, we changed the permanency goals.
Okay. So no matter what the Brownings did, if they completed all of their services, you still were not going to advocate for a return. Is that fair to say?
We changed the permanency goal, even though I did everything possible to
I
offer them
understand
like
that.
all this.
That's not my question. My question is, from that date forward, did you no longer seek to return the children, despite whether they completed the plan or not?
Yes.
Okay, let's move on and talk about the services. Is it fair to say that Ms. Polk is compliant with the services to date, except for child support? Just to sum up.
Yes.
Okay. And has children ever been removed or not returned due to child support not being paid, in your experience or knowledge?
You say what? I'm sorry?
Have children ever been removed or not returned to parents based off of not paying child support, in your experience or knowledge?
No, not to my knowledge.
Okay. So that alone is not a reason to not reunify this family, correct?
Yes.
Now, in regards to the alcohol testing, can you please advise if alcohol was ever an issue for Ms. Polk in the prior two cases?
I'm not aware of that information right now.
Okay, and in this current case, was there any report in the initial investigation or any further reports that alcohol was an issue for Ms. Polk in this current case?
Not that I'm aware.
Okay, so if alcohol has not been an issue in the past for Ms. Polk and it wasn't an issue for the basis of this current suit or any other findings from other sources in the current case, why was alcohol testing added late in the day?
It was in the court orders.
Yes, but in order to get a court order, it has to be requested and come from somewhere. No, I didn't request it, correct? So why did you request alcohol testing on behalf of the department if there was no basis?
The alcohol.
Does Frank Browning have a history or any current use of alcohol? Was there someone else in this this case or companion case that had an issue with alcohol?
I'm not aware.
Okay. Now, you stated that you discussed the alcohol policy with Stephanie Polk. Can you please describe when and how this happened?
It was, if I'm not mistaken, October, and I discussed that per court orders that she will have to drug test and do alcohol tests, and that she can drink alcohol during the case.
Okay, so the conversation was more about upcoming testing that was ordered and not any alcohol usage throughout the case?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when you went to, now, and was this at a monthly visit? Are you still doing the monthly visits?
Yes.
Okay, and you've met with Ms. Polk every month since the case began? Or have there been months that you did not meet?
We have met every month. Yes. Except this December now.
Okay, and is it fair to say that the home visits stopped after the April visit?
Yes.
Okay, so beginning May forward, they were either at the office or virtual?
Yes. They were at the office.
Okay, now let's talk about that home visit in which you feel you were exposed to chemicals on that day in April. You stated that was on April 18th, there was a home visit, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you and your coworker, Madeline, both visited the home the same day and both had some reaction, is that correct?
Yes, she has some reactions.
Okay. And did you both go to the hospital immediately after the home visit? Or was there some delay?
No, we went right after the home visit.
Okay. Now, Madeline is a little more experienced caseworker than you, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And did she indicate that there was possibly some chemical exposure from her experience?
Yes, that's what she said.
Okay. And did the hospital confirm what type of chemical exposure?
No.
Okay. So did you ask the medical personnel if they could confirm whether it was exposure from drugs like meth or exposure from bedbug bombs or other cleaning agents or combination of cleaning agents?
You say if I ask?
Yes. Wouldn't you want to know?
Yes, but can you repeat the question?
Did you ask any medical personnel, nurses, doctors, anyone there at the hospital if there was a way to test yourself or your clothing to see if you were exposed to any drugs or other chemicals?
Oh, yes, I did ask.
Okay. And did you have your clothes tested?
No, they say they just do a drug test.
Okay. Well, so if the home is required to be tested, I mean, wouldn't you want your clothing tested to know for sure what you were exposed to?
I could say so.
Okay. Now, when was it in a particular room that you felt symptoms, or that you're aware that your coworker felt symptoms?
No, it was overall.
Okay. Now, in speaking with your coworker, is it fair to say that the room that had the most effect was the room of Ashley Hutton? Do you recall that?
I'm not sure if it was. Yes, the one. Yeah.
Okay, and that's the room that you had the most or felt the most exposure or symptoms?
For her, yes.
Okay, and what about for you? Was there any other room? Or did you
Just
have
in general.
symptoms? Okay. Did you have any symptoms? Or were you not aware of it at the time?
No, I was not aware of that at the time.
Okay, so it was your coworker Madeline that had symptoms from Ashley Hutton's room and thought you both should get tested. Is that fair to say then?
Yes.
Okay. Did you take up the issue with Ms. Hutton, or did ask your coworker to address that issue with Ms. Hutton?
What you say? Well, I'm sorry.
Did you address the issue of the exposure with Ms. Hutton since you were in her room at the time, or that the coworker was in the room at the time?
No, personally, I did not.
Okay. Did you discuss the issue with Ms. Paulk, and did she provide an explanation as to the chemical exposure?
Yeah, we discussed it after letting them know that we were not gonna be able to do the visits in the house due to the exposure. And what is it?
Did Ms. Paulk discuss the chemical exposure from Ms. Hutton's room and the reason why?
Oh, she did say that she at the beginning she did say that she was the one who used drugs, and then she mentioned some chemicals, like cleaning chemicals.
Okay. Can you clarify that she was the one who used drugs, that she was referring to Ashley Hutton and not herself, or she was referring to herself? Can you please clarify?
Oh, yeah, she was referring to Ashley Hilton.
Okay. And did she also describe the extent that she went through in cleaning that room and the home with different chemicals?
You mean at the time that happened, or?
At any time after that incident in April, did Ms. Paulk go through and explain what she was doing to the home as far as cleaning?
Well, I know she started cleaning after the incident. Yeah.
Did Ms. Paulk email you receipts of different chemicals and bug bombs that she was purchasing and using at the time?
Yeah, that's something we received at the beginning. Yeah.
Okay. And did the dates and the receipts add up to the same time frame of the exposure?
No, the brand was different than what she said on the receipt.
Okay. Some items she had already on hand, and then some items were purchased in order to clean the home, correct? That would have been after the date because they weren't, or some before the date and some after the date to
I
continue.
know they say that from February or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Now, in your experience, there's a lot of CPS cases, there's a lot of drug cases, correct? Where parents have had past history using drugs?
Yes.
Okay. And any of your prior cases that involve drugs and where there is family reunification, has there ever been a request to have the home tested for drugs?
No.
Okay. So in all of your cases, in all of your experience, there's never been any other case where you were, where the parents were required to pay for professional drug testing?
I haven't had a case like that. I've been here just for a year now.
Okay. And And neither you or Miss Madeline has returned to the home, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you have received no reports that anyone currently living in the home have had any exposure or symptoms or problems living in the home, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And did Miss Polk go through steps of showing that she tested the home from an internet kit?
That was discussed, but I was never able to open it. And the judge had it has to be like professionally done.
Right. So it wasn't part of the court order to have the private kit done. But was there a reason that Ms. Polk provided as to why she could only do the private kit versus the professional service?
Well, I know she mentioned the cost of it.
Okay. Do you recall how much it was? It was pretty expensive, wasn't it? Close to $1,000?
Yeah, I believe she say like 700 something like that. Yes.
Okay. Has any child not been able to return because of money being a factor?
Because what?
Of money being a factor?
Oh, no.
Okay. Now, in regards to the drive-by shooting at the home, do you have any proof that it was aimed at anyone particular in the home, including the children?
No.
Okay. Are you aware of other drive-by shootings in Coryell County?
No.
Are you aware that there's been other drive-by shootings in the same area?
No.
Same neighborhood? Okay.
No.
Would you agree that that because of the drive-by shooting, that doesn't indicate that anyone living in that home is involved with gangs or drug use?
Mm,
Is that fair to say? You don't have any evidence about it?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know the number of drive-by shootings, whether they're random or they're target specific?
No.
Is it possible that if it was target specific, that it could have been looking for David or for Ashley or for the grandparents?
You say if is it,
including the Brownings and the children?
what, can you repeat the question again? I'm sorry. You got off.
Is it fair to say that the drive-by shooting could have been, if it was targeted, that it could have been any one person living in the home?
Yeah, that could be a possibility.
Okay, and is it also possible that it's not related to drugs or gang violence?
Yeah, it could be a possibility too.
Okay, you had mentioned there was a question that was asked about you perceiving a threat because of gang affiliation. This is the first I'm hearing of any gang affiliation in this case. What proof do you have of any gang affiliation regarding these parties or this home or these children?
I know they say they were in the Aryan Brotherhood gang.
They say, who is they?
Whenever I received the case, I'm not sure. The grandfather.
The grandfather? Or who are you
Yes.
referring to?
Brack Browning.
Brack Browning, the child?
The grandfather.
The grandfather. I see.
Browning.
Okay, so you believe Brack Browning is affiliated with the Aryan Brotherhood. Is that your...
That's what I
That's
was
your
informed
understanding?
whenever.
Okay. And your understanding is based solely off of a report you read?
Yes.
Okay. Did you, since he resides in the same home, did you bother to run a background check on Brock Browning?
Yes, I let me see. Yes.
Does Brock Browning have any gang affiliated crimes noted on his criminal history?
No.
Okay, so then could you confirm or deny that there was any gang affiliation regarding Brock Browning?
No, there's no criminal history related to gang affiliation for Brock Browning. It's just
Okay.
drugs
And you don't have any information regarding any gang affiliation regarding Stephanie Polk or Frank Browning? Okay, and in this case, we're concerned about the parents, Stephanie Polk and Frank Browning, correct?
You say what? Sorry.
In this case, we're only concerned about the parents.
Oh yes.
Stephanie Polk and Frank Browning. And so the extent
Yes.
that Brock Browning has any criminal history would only be important if they return to the same home, correct?
Yes.
Okay. But if you could not confirm that there was any indeed any gang affiliation, then is there a concern there with the grandparents?
With the grandparents?
Right.
They
Let me phrase it another way. Did you evaluate the grandparents for a possible family placement?
We did ask the grandparent to go and test to make sure, like, if they were clean or not, and they didn't go to test. Meaning drug testing.
Okay, so you requested a drug test, but that was it, correct? Did you do any home study? Did you speak with them in regards to any possible placement of the children?
They denied the drugs, getting drug tested or not.
Okay, was there a possibility that, and I understand that there was an issue because they're living in the same home, right? The Brownings, the paternal grandparents reside in the same home with Frank and Stephanie Browning?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right. So in order for there to be a placement with possibly either of them, one of the couples may have to move out, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And did you discuss that option with the Brownings, both the grandparents and the parents?
At the beginning of the case, we did talk with the grandparents, and they say they were willing, if like Frank and Stephanie tested positive, they say they were willing to get them out of the house and do everything to keep the kids, but they didn't get them out of the house, and they were not willing to drug test.
Okay. And so is that the only reason why you did you not consider them for placement at each and every turn throughout this case?
We did at the beginning.
Okay. Now, it's my understanding, according to the code and the requirements, that family placement and family reunification is to be looked at every turn, not just at the beginning. So can you fairly say that you did that?
Nothing has changed since then, though.
Okay. So is family still an option for placement?
They haven't they haven't provided the professional drug testing of the house. They, it's the same situation as it was in the beginning. They haven't provided a drug test of themselves or anything.
Okay, so are you saying that if the grandparents were to show up with a clean drug test and pay for the professional cleaning, that they would be considered as possible future placement or adoption option?
If they were to provide the drug test and the cleaning of the house,
Yes. Then you couldn't deny them being considered, correct?
if the, I mean, yeah, no, no.
Okay, I need you to clarify. I'm not understanding your answer.
No, you will not deny like the consideration.
Okay, now the drug testing would have to be at their own cost, as well as the professional cleaning. Is that fair to say? Since they're not parties? Let me back up. Did you ever offer to, for the grandparents to test under the state's dime, that the state was going to pay for the drug testing?
Yes.
Are you sure? Are you stating that the state offered to pay for the grandparents' testing? Or was it that they were supposed to pay for it?
You saying what you cut off?
Were the grandparents required to pay for their own drug testing?
No, we were gonna pay for it.
Okay, and you're sure that they were made aware of that?
Yes.
Okay. In regards to the drug testing results, here recently, starting about November timeframe, November, December drug tests, there's been like a stall regarding Miss Paulk's drug testing. Can you please explain why there's been some longer than usual delay?
Oh yes. Due to the holidays, and also I was able to talk to the lab, and some of the results were sent over to to do a reevaluation of the results.
Okay, how many weekly drug tests were sent for reevaluation?
By the time that I called, it was 2 of them.
Now, did the drug testing, the lack of receiving the results, affect Ms. Browning's visitation?
Can you repeat the question?
Did the lack of getting the results in a timely manner affect Ms. Browning's visitation?
Not really, because as for now, the last positive that we have, it was 12/11, and she needed to have 3 consecutive negative. So this will be like the week.
But during November, didn't she have 3 clean during November?
In November,
But the last positive was October 31st for alcohol, correct? So then the
No.
November would be different.
no, the last positive for alcohol for her it was 12/11.
Right, but I'm talking about the time frame between October 31st and December 11. During that time period, with results that you haven't provided to the court, were there negative test results? 3 in a row?
No. Because
Have you received those drug test results?
I received for
If you
November.
received November, you should have received November. Is that fair to say?
I did receive November, yeah.
Okay, so then you would know that the test results in November, if they were positive or negative, and if there was 3 in a row, right? So what's the answer?
Let me see. So she got on the 7th, and then the 12th was invalid, and then 11/26 it was positive again.
Okay, so from 10/31 to 11/26, there would have been 3 clean ones, and then there was a positive one on the 26th, correct?
Yeah, but one of them we didn't receive the result like after the other one, the 26th.
Right, but she still owed a visit, right?
You say we owe a visit?
If she had 3, even though you didn't receive them on time, that's not Ms. Park's fault, right?
No, correct.
So if she had 3 clean, shouldn't she get a visit?
Yeah, that's what the court stated. If there was like 3 consecutive clean, then
Okay. My point here is, Mr. Burgos, is that even if, like, say, worst case scenario, there's termination, wouldn't my client have earned a visit to have, a last visit with the children?
no.
Okay. In regards to the drug testing, how often does it come up that tests are rerouted and further testing is needed? What's going on with that? And why so often, and why just this case?
I'm not sure about that.
Okay. Do you understand where my client may be coming from? That she's suspicious of the drug test results if she knows she doesn't have any alcohol history, and all of a sudden she's asked to do alcohol testing, and all of a sudden at the same time frame, these test results are taking longer, and they're being delayed, and they're being resent out for a reevaluation, which could be just tainting or, mixing up the results, or all kinds of other possibilities. You understand where
Judge, I'm not sure of the question. This is Ms. San Miguel testifying.
You're on mute, Judge Mabry.
Sorry, I'm sustaining the objection. Ms. San Miguel, it would help if you had dates and stuff so we could kind of figure that out a little bit better also.
Okay. Let's move on to the placement with the Jules. How many children reside in that home?
9.
9 children at home. And then there are the couple, there's 2 adults?
Yes.
Okay. And how many rooms are in the home?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. How many bathrooms?
2.
2.
Okay. So the parents occupy 1 room, correct? How are the
Yes.
children situated in the other 3 rooms? Is it 3 per room? I understand there may be ages and gender. So how many children in each room?
Yeah, it's 3 per room.
Just in general, 3?
I know that Brownings are all 3 in 1 room.
Okay, so are all the Brownings are in 1 room, and then all of the Hutton children are in another room?
I know that Brownings are in 1 room, yes.
Okay, and then all of their children are in another room? Or is there any mixing of the kids?
I'm not sure about it.
Your Honor, I apologize. I would ask you to please ask Casa Leanna to stop nodding her head, shaking her head, holding up numbers on her fingers, trying to give Hector the answers to the questions.
Okay. Everybody just be still and don't nod your head or do any signs or anything like that. I didn't see it, but I'll take Ms. Cummings' word for it. So don't do that. Go on, Ms.
Okay. 9 kids is quite a bit to take care of. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. How is it that the Jules are able to financially provide for 9 children and 2 adults? I know I couldn't.
And they have done a great job doing, providing for these 9 kids.
How are they doing it is my question.
They're receiving the, what is it?
Because you mentioned that my client is not paying child support or paid $150, correct? So they're not getting child support. So how are they providing for all of these children?
With the Kinship funds, they're receiving the Kinship funds. Really?
Has there been an evaluation if there's going to be any financial concern for this home in the future?
You say, well, sorry?
Has
No.
there been an evaluation, a home study of the Jules? And regards to their financial situation and if they're able to financially afford 9 children.
No, an evaluation, no.
Okay, so there's no certainty as to their financial situation?
Well, I know he's self-employed and get the kitchen SNAP, and as for like the other youth and kids, is his. The understanding is that the kids are going home, so it's just gonna be the Browning kids and his own kids.
Okay, now several of these children also have special needs, correct?
Bragg has a special needs.
Okay, and so that requires additional time, additional medical appointments, therapy appointments.
Yes,
Is that
and
also true?
yes, and even though they've been taking the kids to all of the appointments and everything.
Okay, are both adults employed or only one?
Not one, self-employed.
Okay, are you aware of any disagreement with the Jules and their parents or the church in which they were connected with the Brownings?
No.
Okay. For the sake of my mouth, I think I need to stop right now, so I'll pass the witness.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Cummings?
Thank you, Your Honor. Hector, before Mr. Browning was incarcerated, was he attending all of his therapy appointments?
Yes, he was.
And did his therapist make a recommendation that his visitation be increased and moved to unsupervised?
Yes, he did a recommendation for the increasement of the visitation, yes.
And you had testified that Mr. Browning had taken a drug test that was positive for methamphetamines about the time that he had completed inpatient treatment. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and what kind of a test was that he took?
Hair follicle.
Okay, and can you tell me what hair sample they took for that test? Like, was it from his head? Was it from his beard or somewhere else?
I know that before going to inpatient, it was, he stated it was from the beard, and then we did another one from the head.
Okay, so his one from his beard was positive?
Yes, and the other one from the head too.
You had stated that of the Jules, one of the parents is self-employed. Is that correct?
Yes.
What do they do? What's their self-employment?
There's let me see. He does the like welding, is it? Welding and home repair.
As far as the Browning children go, have they expressed the desire to see their father?
The Browning kids.
Yes.
Whenever I have talked to them in these last 2 months, they haven't even mentioned their biological parents. No.
Okay. Prior to Mr. Browning being incarcerated, did Sean ask to see his dad?
Yeah, prior, yeah, he did.
Okay. Did John ask to see his dad prior to his dad being incarcerated?
No, John, no.
Okay. Did Brack ask to see his dad prior to his dad being incarcerated?
No.
So only one child regularly was asking to see their father.
Yes.
And how did the visits with dad go prior to them, obviously being stopped? How were the visitations?
For the visitation, there were like no concerns. The only concern that we had in a moment, it was just parents bringing them candies. But besides that, no.
Okay, so there are no concerns with the visitation?
Mm-mm.
Father was appropriate with the children?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm sorry, how old are the kids?
He's 7, 5, and 3.
Since Mr. Browning's been in the Coryell County Jail, what services have been offered to him while he's been incarcerated?
I know that the last time he talked to my coworker, he said that he was taking AA in jail because everything else was put on hold due to he being on jail.
Okay, does the department have services or anything they can offer to a parent that's incarcerated?
We normally provide them with the like a packet if it's for like parenting classes. I mean, parenting, yeah. But he was already like taking that almost done outside.
Okay, but did he complete it outside of him being incarcerated?
No, he hasn't.
Okay, so but then you never offered him the parenting packet while he's been incarcerated.
Not in the last bit. No. When I say no.
Okay, have you offered Mr. Browning any services at all to complete while he's been incarcerated?
No, because there are no services where he at right now. So he was doing like the outpatient voluntarily, which he said he would resume.
Right, but you said that the department has a parenting packet they can give to parents to fulfill the parenting class requirement, and you did not give that to him.
No, not that one. No.
Did you ever reach out to Mr. Browning's therapist to see if he'd be willing to continue seeing Mr. Browning while he was in jail?
No, I have talked to the therapist. He did send me an email. Stated that he will temporarily remove Mr. Browning from individual therapy due to him being incarcerated. He did say that whenever he got out, he can resume services with him.
And you stated that Mr. Browning has said that he's been attending AA and NA and other classes while incarcerated, correct?
Yes.
Did you get any sort of verification from the jail, a roster from the people that provide those classes, anything?
No.
So sorry.
Okay, drink some water.
As far as the grandparents are concerned, you said that the state would pay for them to take a drug test.
Yes.
And so if they were to take a drug test now, would the state still be willing to consider them as placement for the children?
Now, no.
Why not?
I'm sorry?
Why not?
Oh, because mom's still living in the house.
So if mom moves out of the home and they take a drug test, is that what is required for these grandparents to be looked at for placement?
I'm not sure. I will have, that's something we will have to staff and staff, the supervisor.
Okay, well, the law says the department has to look at family for placement. So if those parameters are met, if the issue is that they didn't take a drug test, that it's my understanding they thought they had to pay out of pocket for and they did not have the money for it. And if Stephanie moves out of the home, then their grandchildren can be in the home. Or is the department at least willing to look at them if those parameters are met?
I know like that. I know that the concern is that we've been having since the beginning is like they all live in the same house and they were aware that, the kids tested positive. It is just a concern that, the grandparents were there too and nothing happened, to watch for the safety of the kids.
Okay, so even if they took a drug test and mom moved out, the department's not going to look at them for a possible placement. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. And it's been that way since the start of this case. Would you agree with that? That the department never wanted these kids back with these parents or the grandparents?
No, we were willing to place them with the grandparents. They just didn't want to go test or like remove the parents or the house, because they did say they were gonna do it if they tested positive, but they never did it.
And so the department seeking aggravated circumstances, that was the department looking for reunification or to put the kids with family, right?
It was because the kid tested positive, yes.
Do you have a lot of cases where kids test positive?
This is the only case that I have where kids are positive.
Okay. Do all the kids on all your cases get tested?
Their cases are not drug related or anything.
Okay. Would you say that kids testing positive for drugs in a CPS case is kind of commonplace?
If it's common, you say?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Here, I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Mystic?
Mr. Burgos, I'm going to direct your attention to a report that's already been put in evidence from December 4th, the final permanency report to the court. Do you have that in front of you?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay. I know that you were not with the department, nor were you involved, but are you aware, if you know from personal knowledge, in the 2022 removal case, where did the parents live at the time of that removal, the one before this one?
In the 2022?
Yeah, the removal before this one, do you know where they were living? Generally, who they were living with? Maybe that'll help.
Ms. Mystic, I don't see any reports put into evidence.
Oh, the December 4th court date? I'll offer it then. It was the final permanency report to the court dated. It was our last hearing, I thought, on December 4th.
It was, but I don't show any exhibits being admitted that day.
I'm just talking about the report. I'm sorry.
Okay.
The report itself.
Okay.
Hold on, Hector.
Oh, sorry.
Do you have it, Judge?
I have it. I just didn't.
Okay.
I got that you were talking about that. It
Sorry.
Was exhibit not. And
I probably did.
That hearing, that setting was on 12/4. I sent an email.
You're frozen. You were frozen, Judge. Sorry.
I sent an email around, and I can get the exact date in a little bit, but about 6 months ago, that said if final trials are reset for a long period of time, at least more than a month, that reports need to be updated. And I didn't get an updated report from CASA or CPS. Did anybody get an updated report?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
I believe this is the last one.
Okay, go on. I'll look for that email.
All right, Mr. Burgos, can you recall where the parents were living in the 2022 case?
With the grandparents?
Thank you. Can you recall, did the minor children, 1, 2, or 3 of them, any of the children in the 2022 case test positive for an illegal substance?
Yes.
Okay. Can you recall if the children were returned to the parents in that 2022 CPS case?
Yes.
2024 case that we are in presently. Where were the parents living?
With the grandparents.
When did we discover that those children tested positive for methamphetamines?
It was back in April 25. It was whenever we received the results.
April of 24, you mean, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Yes.
As we sit here today, where does Stephanie Polk live?
Still living with the grandparents.
Tell me on a weekly basis how many phone calls a week you get from these grandparents begging you to test them and for placement of these children with them.
None.
Okay. Has Stephanie Polk ever told you if she would move out?
No.
Well, let me put it this way. Has Stephanie Polk moved out since the beginning of this case?
No.
Is the only reason Frank Browning not living in that house is because he's sitting in jail?
Yes.
Has he ever told you, hey, second time my kids tested positive, I'm going to get out of this house, my wife and I, so that my parents can have these children? Has he told you that?
No.
Okay. If he has told you that, as he's nodding his head to all of these questions, has it happened other than him getting arrested?
No.
You were asked if the parents were working Miss Sam McGill asked you if Stephanie Polk was working her services, correct?
Yes.
And you responded that she was. Is that right?
Yes.
So I would like to go in that report and ask you to look at individual counseling.
Ms. Mystic,
Yes.
let me just tell y'all something real quick. On 8/7/24, I sent an email around, says court reports. Oh, recently I've had some trials and final court reports were not filed. These are always very helpful to myself and the attorneys. Effective immediately in bold capital letters. Please make sure these reports are timely filed per my previous order. If a case is reset or recessed for a short period of time, approximately 2 weeks, and nothing is changed, an updated report is not needed. If the trial date is more than 2 weeks away, something big has happened, or compliance, non-compliance with the service plan has occurred, a report must be filed. That was an or, that wasn't a. Please pass this on to your staffs and CASA and the department. That went to CASA's and the department. So just want that on the record when you're referring to reports, Ms. Mystic.
Thank you. The report from December 4th, that when I say report for the hearing on December 4th, I apologize. You had submitted a final permanency report to the court, and that was based on a hearing we had 12/4. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I believe that we reset that day, but the report was still filed. Is that your understanding?
Yes.
But up until I believe, end of November, you gave updates on the services that the parents were doing in that report.
Yes.
Okay. I believe Ms. Sam McGill has gone through the home environment with you as far as the cleaning or the testing of the home. Correct?
Yes.
She went through the visitation that the mother was having with the children. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Polk has been in individual therapy and protective parenting with Mary Young. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And that is a therapist that the department provided?
Yes.
Okay. As of when you wrote this report, and let me get the date so I don't keep saying December 4th, because I think November 14th is when this was submitted. what were the recommendations as far as Miss Polk or as far as her therapy, her individual therapy?
As far as the individual therapy,
Well, let me ask it easier. I'm sorry. Was there any recommendation that she have, let's say, unsupervised visitation?
oh no.
Okay. Do you know if she thought if Miss Polk was in denial?
The therapist stated that, yeah.
Okay. At the time that Miss Young, and I believe this was in August, after Miss Polk was out of inpatient, did she give any reasons or think that the children at that time should be returned to the mother?
No.
Okay. Did Miss Polk do a psychological evaluation?
Yes.
And was that with Dr. Daheim?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you recall if he thought she had the skills to be a parental caregiver to her children?
No, he stated that she fails to demonstrate the skills.
Did he say she continues to show an inability to learn from her past mistakes and previous treatment?
Yes.
Did she take a psychiatric evaluation?
Yes, she did.
Okay. Was it stated her lack of appreciation for the possible ramifications of her behaviors are poor?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
Okay. As far as substance abuse, what has Stephanie Polk blamed the substance abuse, if any, on Ashley Hutton? And when I say substance abuse of the children, that the children tested positive, has she told you that she believes that to be because of Ashley Hutton living in the home?
She did say that at the beginning.
At the beginning of the case, they felt it was Ashley that was the influence in the home?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall reading in the 2022 case if Ashley Hutton was living in the home?
No, she was not living in the home.
Okay. And if she was, that wasn't made known to the department, if you recall from the reading of that case?
Yeah, that I recall, no.
Okay. Do you recall if you are aware of the standing order from Judge Mabry that in all CPS cases, there's no alcohol use?
Yes, ma'am.
Regardless if a parent has an issue with alcohol or not?
Yes.
Okay. But to give the benefit of the doubt, Ms. Hawk tested positive for ETG October 4th. Is that correct?
October, yes.
Okay. Did you inform her of that result?
Yes.
Okay. Did she have two subsequent after that, from 10:15 and 10:31?
You say tumor positive?
10:04. Did she have a positive for ETG?
Yes.
Okay. Level of 16,172.
Yes, ma'am.
Then on 10:15, a positive with a level of 1,030.
Yes, ma'am.
10:31, a positive of 12,027.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Was she already aware that, or was she aware, or you would have hoped she'd know that the standing order is no alcohol use?
Yeah, she was aware.
Okay. And again, we don't have, I think Mrs. Sam McGill went over that. We don't have like the rest of November and December results. Is that right?
Yeah, I received the ones for November and on December. We got some waiting, but
Say that again.
yeah, I said that we do have the new ones too. There's like 1, 2, 3 that we're still waiting on the results.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But we received them. Yes.
Okay. It was testified that Mr. Browning's therapist, up until he went to jail, was saying that he was engaging in all of his services. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that he should have increased visitation.
Yes.
And that was up until he went to jail. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did he take a psychological evaluation?
Yes, he did.
Okay. Was it stated that he lacks insight to his problems?
Yes.
And then that's one of the reasons his parenting abilities are poor, because he lacks that insight. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
That he shows a serious inability to learn from the past or to be honest with his problems. Is that something you've seen throughout this case?
Yes, I've seen that.
Okay. Did he take a psychiatric evaluation?
Yes, he did.
Was it stated his nonchalance to the possible ramifications of his behaviors are poor signs that the department should consider family reunification?
Yes, it says that.
Okay. In the 2022 case where you've testified Ashley Hutton wasn't living in the home, did the parents both test positive for methamphetamines?
Yes, they did.
Okay, as well as 2 of the children, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And then besides alcohol there were 2 positive alcohols during the similar time of Miss Potts' alcohol test. Is that correct, that he tested positive for ETG?
Who, Frank?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yes, he did test positive.
10-9 and 10-15.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you've had 2 positive, and I think Ms. Cummings already went over the hair test results with the methamphetamines, but obviously he's been incarcerated since October. And you were asked about what you were supposed to or have you done to help Mr. Browning with services. Has Mr. Browning called you at all since he's been incarcerated?
No, he hasn't.
Okay. And have you visited him?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, you've gone to the jail and saw him, and Judge Mabry, Mr. Browning's doing the same thing, holding up fingers to how many times Mr. Burgos has been there. If we can just have nobody do.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
would say nobody do anything. No facial, no head, no numbers, no feet, nothing.
And Mr. Burgos, when you visited with him, did he beg you to call his therapist to come see him and do services while he's in jail?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And as far as the grandparents, and it may be in the initial affidavit, it was requested that they drug test. Is that right? And you all were going to pay for them to drug test.
Yes.
Okay. That's all I have. Pass the witness.
Anybody else have a question, Burgos? Ms. Sturmer?
I don't think I have any other questions, but before we take any more testimony, can we take a quick break?
Yeah, like 3 minutes because we're going to stop for lunch in a minute. And I have I have a lot of questions for Mr. Burgos.
Okay.
So 3 minutes. Okay, we're back. 4 minutes. Let's see. Ms. Sturmer, any more questions?
I don't have any other questions, Judge.
Okay, Ms. San Miguel? No?
No.
Thank you. Ms. Cummings?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Burgess, my questions are not in any particular order. They are just based off of the the testimony you gave and the different lawyers asking you questions, okay? There, you said previously, or Mr. Sturmer corrected you, and you said there were 2 prior removals, correct?
You're on mute, Hector.
Sorry. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and they were both in Coryell County, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Are you aware how long they lasted?
I know the second was for the whole year. I'm not sure about the first one.
Well, would it surprise you that it was about 6 months, the first one?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was the judge on both of them, so that probably, I'm not sure if I was on the 17 one, but I was on the second one. Do you know when the second one closed in relation to when our new one started?
It was within a year.
Okay. 4/5,
Period.
4/5/23 till 4/3/24. Would that make sense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. You said that you don't have a current recommendation from Ms. Falk's therapist. Why not?
The most recent recommendation I received from Ms. Polk Therapy is to continue weekly counseling.
Okay. Is she go in person or Zoom?
Zoom.
Zoom. Okay. When did approximately, I don't need the exact date, but when did Ms. Polk get out of inpatient rehab?
Patient rehab, it was 7/24.
Okay. And you finished outpatient 9/24, correct?
9/12.
And did the alcohol testing start after completion of those 2 rehabs?
It was on October.
Okay. No marijuana though since the beginning of the case?
For Stephanie,
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
she did have positive for marijuana at the beginning, but then after May, she stopped having positive for marijuana.
Because it takes marijuana a while to get out of your system, right?
Yes.
Okay. When you visited with Ms. Polk about the alcohol testing, what did she say? What does she say it's in her system for?
The first time I talked to her about being positive for alcohol, she said that she was cleaning the pool and maybe the chemicals of the pool was what made her positive.
Okay. Do you have other people that have pools? Other clients that have pools?
No, personally, I don't.
You don't?
No, Your Honor.
What about after she tested positive the first time? What'd she say for the continuous times?
She said, even recently, she said that doesn't make sense because she's not drinking alcohol.
Okay, we'll get to some of that more in a minute. Mr. Burgess, how did they look at the beginning of the case?
The children, they at the beginning of the case, they were just like what would be the word? Like cohibited, if that's it.
What's the word? I didn't understand you.
Cohibited? Like introvert.
Okay. That's good.
Like like introvert. They were I know they were shy. They seem they seem, of course, I guess, confused with everything that was happening.
What about their physical appearance?
Physical appearance, yeah, they were skinny. They were they seemed like they were needed, like, medical food, like assistant and all that.
You talked during the testimony about bugs. Did they have bugs or lice or anything originally?
Yes, especially I remember seeing it on Brack.
Okay. Were any of the children in April of 24? Was Brack the only one that was enrolled in school?
Yes.
Where were the other ones during the day?
In the house.
Okay. They weren't at Head Start or daycare anywhere?
No.
Okay. Was Brack in special ed classes or had any accommodations at the school he was at?
Yes, he was, and he was receiving like speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, and they had the ARD and all that.
Okay. I saw on, I don't know if it was, I think it was your report that, is it Brack that needs dental surgery?
Yes.
And tell me what's up with that.
So I went to the house on last Friday, and we're just waiting on getting a new day appointment for that. They reschedule it.
Why does he need it? What's wrong with his teeth?
Oh, because half of his tooth is like lush, like on his gums.
Half of one tooth or all of his teeth?
No, half of one tooth.
Okay. So it's not his whole mouth.
No.
Okay, good. Did the parents indicate to you that they were employed before April of 24?
No. Mom was going to school, and that was her income. And I know Dad got a job like at the beginning of the case, like a plumbing job. But before he started, he was a mechanic.
Okay. What do the other people that live in the home, do they work?
No.
How do they live if they have 6 adults and 6 kids? What's that? 12 people in the home. How do you live? How do you support 12 people if you don't work?
I'm not sure how they did it.
Okay. How old are the grandparents? Approximately. I don't need to know exactly. Are they like 80s?
Probably their 70s, 60s, 70s.
Or do they have any physical disabilities?
I'm not sure.
At the beginning of the case, when Miss Ashley Hutton lived in the home, did she work?
Not to my understanding, no.
Okay. There was also a Mr., I think according to your report, there was also a Mr. Kelly that lived in the home. Who is that?
The other adult, he was the babysitter for Ashley.
Why people need babysitters if they don't work?
Honestly, I'm not sure, Your Honor.
Okay. Did he refuse to cooperate with the department?
David, I know as soon as I received the case, I know they both moved out of the home, so I'm not sure.
Okay. Did y'all, after the grandparents would not drug test for the department, did y'all try to do, establish a service plan for the grandparents?
No.
No. Okay. Now, you and Maddie Miller went to the house, I think you said in April of 24, correct?
I believe it was 18.
April 18th.
Yes, ma'am.
And are you aware that on June 19th, I ordered the house to be professionally cleaned and report to the department by 7/20 of 24?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then later on September, did you get an invoice dated not 2 months later on 9/16/24 that the house had been cleaned?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, there was an invoice. How much did it show? How much that cost to get done?
Yeah, it shows it was. It was $433.
And who paid for that?
The grandparents.
Okay. And since you got the invoice, did you ever get a report?
No, Your Honor.
Who owns this? Does somebody own this home? Who rents it? Whose house is it?
It's the grandparents' house.
Do they own it or rent it?
I believe they own it.
Okay. And how many bedrooms is this home?
It was 1, 2, 3, 4.
4. So grandparents were in a room?
Yeah, they were in one room, yeah.
The Brownings were all in one room together, the parents and the kids?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Ashley Hutton and her 3 kids were in a room?
Yes, Your Honor.
And did Mr. Kelly have his own room?
I'm not sure about him, Your Honor.
Okay. Did they have any pets?
They have dogs in the house, yes, Your Honor.
How did the house appear when you went over there on 4/18?
The house overall, it was like they had a lot of trash around the house, especially like it were, I guess, like an office room or dining room. There was trash all over. It smelled like, like poop. There were bottles of alcohol. The garage, it was like filled up to the ceiling, like you couldn't even walk on it.
What was up to the ceiling? Hold on, I didn't understand. What was up to the ceiling?
Oh, boxes stuck on top of each other in the garage. Like even the room that they were, the Brownies room, there was just like a small path that you can walk in because even the where the baby sleep, it was full of stuffed animals. There were clothes everywhere and everything.
It looked like the house had been cleaned any since the children were removed on April 3rd.
No,
Is it a house? Is it a mobile home, an RV? What is it?
it's a house.
How is the neighborhood, the surrounding houses?
It's a nice neighborhood.
Okay. And is it in Cove or where is it?
It's here in Cove, yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, y'all went to the house on 4/18/24, and Matt, did you start feeling sick or just Maddie Miller?
It was Maddie.
Okay. Let me see. April to May to June, July to August, September, October, November, December. So what's that? Let's say 8.5 months. Has anybody from the department been to the house since then?
No, Your Honor.
Why?
Due to the fact that there was a court order that they needed to do a professional cleaning in the house, drug testing, and they haven't provided reports.
Okay, but if Miss Stephanie is not testing positive for methamphetamine anymore, maybe she's not in that type of environment anymore, and it's a better place to go. What do you think about that?
I guess that's something I will probably have to start with my supervisor, yeah.
So we don't know if the house is spotless or still got all that, it smells like poop, or we just don't know, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you know? I mean, you probably don't know, and we can ask Casa this. Do you know if Casa's been out to the house?
No, I'm not sure, Your Honor.
Okay, or do you know if anybody else on this case has been out to the house?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Burris, you said that between the parents, I get this correct, that they've paid since I ordered child support to begin on May 15th. May 15th. They paid a total of $150, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
How can even a mom and dad live over 8 months on only $150?
I don't see how you can do it, Your Honor.
Can you support 3 kids on $150?
No, Your Honor.
These are little boys, right?
You say what? I'm sorry?
These are little boys, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And they probably eat a lot, don't they?
They do.
Mr. Brack Browning, the grandpa, seems to be, based upon the Facebook post that Mr. Shermer asked you about, he seems to be pretty mad and unhappy about his 2024. Ms. Mystic asked you about him calling. Has grandpa ever called you to discuss this case with you?
Never, Your Honor.
And what about grandma, paternal grandma?
No, Your Honor.
What do you know what the date of that post was that Mr. Brack Browning posted, Mr. Burgess?
So it was sent to me. Let me make sure. It was sent to me on the 26th of this month of December, and it says like it was one day. So I will assume it was on Christmas, but I'm not sure when was like exactly. But it was sent to me the 26th.
Just go in a circle.
Browning, Pollock, or Mr. Browning have any siblings, or if Miss Pollock has any family, or any other family?
Oh, sorry, you cut off, Your Honor. Can you repeat that?
Okay, well, there's a bunch of background noise in somebody's, I think it's yours. Are you aware if there's any other siblings, aunt, uncles, Miss Pollock has any grandma, grandpa, any other family that these kids could be placed with?
No, I'm not aware, Your Honor.
Did the parents ever tell you of any other potential family placement?
I did ask Stephanie at the beginning. I know she said she has, if I'm not mistaken, a brother that was in jail, no contact with parents. So yeah, we asked, but there was not at the moment like any other options where the kids could go.
You said the grandma and grandpa weren't calling you. Did any other family members of mom or dad call you and seek placement of the children?
No, Your Honor.
I don't remember this, but Mr. Burgess, where were the kiddos placed on the prior removals?
With the jewels?
Okay. What about Brack when he was the only one that was born? Where was he placed? Do you know?
I'm not sure, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, you said that did you hear me?
Oh, no, sorry, Your Honor. Can you repeat that?
Ashley Hutton's 3 children also lived in the home, and you said they were removed also, correct?
Oh, yes, Your Honor.
And did they also test positive for methamphetamine?
If I'm not mistaken, just one of them.
Okay. When you talked to Miss Pollock about that she's not supposed to be drinking alcohol, did she know that was ordered in the April when the department was named temporary managing conservator back in April?
No, she didn't say anything about it, Your Honor.
But that's when it was ordered and it's written in the court order, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Did the grandparents ever talk to you, Mr. Burgess, about getting a written, since they paid for the house to be tested, did they ever talk to you about getting a written report as was court ordered?
No, Your Honor.
And you said you don't know how they work, right? If they work?
Oh, yes, Your Honor, no.
Do you know if anybody in the home receives any disability or Social Security benefits or anything, or military retirement or anything like that?
I understand that Grandpa received a VA check.
Get a VA check?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, there were six kids in the home, and 3 slept in one room, 3 slept in another room. Did all of the children living there, they have access to the whole house and the yard and everywhere, or were they confined to their specific areas?
Yes, Your Honor.
No. Could all the kids run around the house?
Yes, Your Honor.
And if Ms. Paul blames drug use on Ms. Hutton, how does she explain that her and her husband were both positive on their hair strands for methamphetamine?
So I do know that at the beginning, she did say that probably because Frank, is having relationship with Ashley and drinks her drinks and then goes to Stephanie, that have probably how she got it.
So they just transferred it amongst themselves?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Burgess, they both tested positive for amphetamine too, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So based upon your experience and your education and, everything you've learned being a caseworker, when you test positive for methamphetamine and amphetamine, does that show usage versus exposure?
That shows usage versus exposure?
usage and not just exposure to like it's on the coffee table or somewhere like that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Why do the parents say they still live in this same home? I mean, why do they still live there?
I'm not sure, Your Honor.
Ashley Hutton moved out, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And if she could move out, couldn't these parents possibly move out?
Well, I know Stephanie doesn't work, so probably it's the financial situation.
Does Ashley Hutton work?
I'm not sure.
Okay. You talked about a drive-by shooting. Mr. Burgess, did you talk to any police officers about that?
No, not me personally, Your Honor.
What did the parents tell you about that? About the bullet holes in the house?
They just told me about the drive shooting, and I know the day that we visited the home, me and my coworker Maddie, they talk about like the incident with all the weapons, and they show us the video of where the bullets came in, and you can see in the video that the kids almost got hit by the bullet.
What time of the day was this drive? Did the parents say this drive-by was?
I'm not sure.
You know if anybody was arrested for it?
I know the person who did the shooting, they were.
Okay, good, good. Mr. Burgess, I know sometimes when we don't have lab results, we have to call the lab and see what the delay is. Like what Ms. San Miguel was talking about. When is the last time you've talked to the lab to see what's going on?
It was sometimes on November, Your Honor.
Well, I think when we take a break, you and your supervisor probably need to call the lab and see what's going on, okay?
But yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And report back to us after our lunch break. How does Ms. Pollock say she's getting alcohol, paying for alcohol, if she can't pay her child support? What does she say about that? Or does she just say she's not even using alcohol?
She just said that she doesn't even use alcohol, Your Honor.
Okay. What did Ms. Pollock, Mr. Browning's been in jail since, I think, a while. I had it written down, but I can't find it right now.
October 20.
Excuse me, say it again.
October 20?
October 20th. Okay. John, the little one, he's 3, just turned 3 in October. What did Miss Paul give him for his birthday?
Well, she asked the department if we could get her like a cake or something so she can bring it up to the visit. And I know she also contacted CASA. But that's all I know, Your Honor.
Any gifts for the little one?
No, that I'm aware.
What about for Christmas for all 3 boys?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Okay. And Dad's in jail, so he obviously can't. Do you, Mr. Burgess, do you know the status of Mr. Browning's criminal case?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
Have you called the district attorney's office to ask what's going on with it?
No, Your Honor.
Y'all might want to do that at a break too.
Okay.
What do y'all, visits were first observed by the department and then were moved to Unity, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Unity's like a supervision facility.
Like
Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And when and why were the visits moved for the parents?
They were moved Unity back in June, and it was due to the fact that every time we were trying to have a conversation with parents, they were mad and they started yelling and they got up. It was impossible to have a conversation with them. And after staffing with the supervisor, it was decided that then it would be better if they do the visit through Unity.
Okay. And does Unity provide notes or visitation notes?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have those been provided to the attorneys?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have the visits has that stopped since the visits went to the Unity?
Stop one.
Has the aggressiveness and things stopped since the visits went to Unity?
Oh, yes, Your Honor.
Okay. What about the food? I know at one point in time we were talking about not bringing sweets and stuff to the visits. Has that changed?
Yeah, since the last visit they had, yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Burgess, you said you have the results for Ms. Paul's October results, and then you said November and December we still don't have, but you have a couple from November. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, and a couple for December too.
Tell me Ms. Paul, she tests weekly, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so tell me the dates, and you did the October ones. Tell me the dates and the results of the tests you have, so we know which ones we're needing to get.
Okay. For November, we have all of them. So we have November 1st.
Okay.
The drug was negative. Then November 7th, the ETG was positive, but the drug was negative.
Okay.
Then 11A, she did the hair follicle. It came back negative.
Okay.
We got 11-12 for drugs. It was negative. And then the other one was invalid.
The other one, what are you referring to?
The ET for the ETG.
Okay. Well, okay. Okay.
And then 11/20th, it was negative for drugs and ETG, both.
Okay.
And then 11/26, which was the last one for the month, drug was negative, but alcohol was positive.
Okay. And when do you have a record for December and January to date when Ms. Paul's color has come up?
You mean like the calendar?
Yeah. Well, her color when she's supposed to test on the color scheme, right?
Oh yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So do you have any results for December?
Yes, for December, 12/06, drugs was negative, but we're still waiting on the ETG results.
Okay.
And then 12/11, drugs was negative, but ETG was positive.
Okay.
And then 12/20th, drug was negative, ETG, we're still waiting on the results.
Okay.
And then last one, 12/26, drug was negative, ETG, we're still waiting on the results.
And is that the last time she tested?
I believe so. That's the last result I have on the system.
Okay. So basically you're waiting on 12/6, 12/20, and 12/26, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. When is the last visit Ms. Paul had with the boys?
It was back Unity. 10 30th,
10 what?
the 30th of October.
Okay, right before Halloween. Okay. Okay. Regarding mom's actual services, she's testing, she's going to all her counseling, she's doing all that stuff, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And is that the same actions that that took place in the other two cases?
Yes, Your Honor.
John just turned 3 during the in October. Does he know who his mom and you probably haven't seen him, or I don't know, you maybe haven't. Does he know who his mom and dad are?
They refer to mom and dad to the caregivers. He has never
does he
said.
know that? I mean, does he reckon that when John?
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Does he recognize mom at the visits, John?
Yes, Your Honor.
And at the beginning of the case, somewhere I read that Brack was nonverbal. He's verbal. He's verbal. Is he verbal now?
Yes, Your Honor. He can communicate way more. I was surprised these last few visits that I've been doing to, hear him saying like phrases and words, and like he takes my phone because he like taking pictures, and he will be like, my phone, play, and he will say things like that. So yeah, he has improved a lot.
Okay. At the beginning, did you hear him say any words?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Does he do sentences?
When the time that I've been there, it been like phrases. I'm not sure about if he does like full sentences, but it's definitely an improvement.
Okay. Like if I said, Brad, go shut the door, would he understand that?
I believe no. Well, I asked him for my phone and he gave it to me, so I would guess so, yes.
Okay. Okay. Okay, anybody have any more questions of Mr. Burgess?
I do.
Miss Mystic?
Mr. Burgess, I want to make sure you did say that you have reviewed the paperwork from the 2022 removal.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you recall one of the phone calls that was made by the grandfather in that case that got CPS involved?
I don't recall.
You recall there was an allegation of, do you recall that there was an allegation of Mr. Browning choking Stephanie Polk?
Oh, yes, I do recall that, yes.
Okay. And as we sit here today, or do you recall Mr. Browning, the grandfather, letting CPS know when they interviewed him in that affidavit that his wife and the mother were begging him not to report this because they did not want Mr. Browning arrested?
Yes, ma'am.
And he witnessed, according to that affidavit, Mr. Browning, the grandfather, witnessed his son choking his wife. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And as we sit here today, until Mr. Browning went to jail, both those parents live in the home with those grandparents. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
That's the witness.
Anybody else? No. Nobody has any questions. Okay, Mr. Burgess, on break, I need y'all to check with the district attorney's office and
Judge Joanne's waving.
oh, she is? Okay, so
Yeah.
Ms. San Miguel.
I just had one question. Is there any significant mental health diagnosis for either parent?
Parents. I have it right here.
Anything like significant mental health would be like bipolar, schizophrenia.
Psychological. Let me make sure.
Anything requiring medication?
No.
Thank you. No further question.
Anybody else? Mr. Burgess. Let me look real quick. Have the parents provided any personal effects to the placement that you're aware of?
Personal what?
Like personal effects, like pull-ups or anything?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay, let's see. We'll be on a quick lunch break. Everybody will be back at 1:00. We've got 35 minutes.